welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and I love talking about cards. Woo. Yeah, you know, just I do.
That's really good.
It's really good. I know, right? There's two things I love talking about, and you probably can't guess what they are.
Let me guess. Cards and patrons.
That's exactly right. Grant.
Oh, Grant with the segue this time. Well, this month, or this show, we would love to give a special shout out to, let's see if I can do this real quick. Well, all our patrons get a special shout out. Daniel, David, Jake, James, Jason, Joseph, Joshua, Justin, Kyle, Lou, Matt, Mike, Dom, Phil, Robert, Russ, and Sean. But a special shout out goes to David, Jake, Joseph, Kyle, Lou, Dominic, Robert, and Sean, because they all subscribe at the Citadel Custodian level. The Citadel Custodian level is our general level that people can do this, and then there's the Squire of the Citadel. We're all Citadels here at Patreon. So if you're interested in joining us, just join in here, patreon.com/cardtalk2018, and we will be happy to have you at the Citadel Custodian level or higher, and it'll be great. Grant, what card are we going to do? What's that?
I said, do you want to take a breath there?
Yeah, I know, right? What card are we going to talk about today?
Well, I suppose it's the Custodian, the Citadel Custodian.
The Citadel Custodian, shockingly.
You've just mentioned, but the actual ally from the Heirs of Numenor box set that costs 5 leadership resources. He's got 1 willpower, 0 attack, 1 defense, 3 hit points with the Gondor trait, and the only text he has, lower the cost to play Citadel Custodian by 1 for each Gondor ally in play.
Well, this just in, breaking news, Ted actually used this guy in a deck recently. So, Ted, I am going to just go straight to you and wonder what the heck were you smoking when you put this guy in a deck?
Well, so he's gonna go into one specific place, and that's gonna be a Gondor archetype deck, right? Like clearly, like he's Gondor traded, and it's interesting because you definitely don't want to pay his printed costs for him, but with his ability, he can get reduced. There's no minimum. He can get reduced down to 0, and his stat line is not wonderful. you know.
Okay.
But what's neat about his ability is that his ability counts for all Gondor allies in play, not just your own. And a lot of times, if you're playing, even just 2-player, if you're playing leadership and another person's playing lore, there's some common allies. For example, like the Warden of Healing is Gondor traded, and he gets a discount for each Gondor in play, not just your own.
Right.
So it's. Do you want him in your opening hand? You know, that's kind of probably not. You want to draw him maybe on like a couple turns in when you have the allies on the board to play him for maybe 1 resource or free. Absolutely. Because the whole strategy of Gondor is to boost their stats. You can boost them to 2 willpower with Visionary Leadership, the attachment that boosts Gondor allies, and you can also get a boost from, it's not great, but a +1 attack boost to bring him up to 1 from Hero Leadership Boromir. But leadership has that kind of, swarmy type play where you bring in lots of smaller allies that are not expensive, and then you boost them with other card effects like Ally Faramir or Sword That Was Broken, are both leadership cards that boost willpower.
Don't forget, to play for Gondor.
For Gondor also would boost his stats just being a character, boost his defense and his attack power. So you're absolutely right, Grant. So he just kind of fits into this like play smaller swarmy allies and then boost them, and you can play him down very easily for no or one resource. I think he's worth playing at.
I let me see if I can say this in a way here that makes me not sound like an idiot. Like,
you're wrong.
The way that I'm looking at this card is that I see that he's not good in your opening hand, and by the time you're at the end game, by the time you're round 7 or 8, he's also probably useless, right? He's not coming in to save the day with 1 willpower and 1 defense, unless you need a chump blocker, right? And he could chump block maybe twice, I guess. So there is some benefit there if that's happening, especially if you have, for Gondor or, Strength of Arms is great multiplayer when you're playing leadership, things like that. But it seems like you want this guy, not only, we were talking about a card, Farber Maggot, that's very good in one deck archetype. So this is very good in one kind of deck archetype, but it's also only good in one particular point in playing that deck, right? Like, I mean, you said you don't want him in your opening hand, and I would suggest that if you have something late game, you probably don't need him either in the late game. So it seems like this guy is super, super niche-y to me, which means he's super not all that good. That's me.
Fair points. Fair points.
Grant, what's your take on the Citadel Custodian?
I'm just thinking of ways to utilize the Citadel Custodian.
Oh, there's a few.
Well, I guess he would be good for
very good tail.
Very good tail.
Very good tail. Right. You play him for 1 resource, maybe. 2, I'd consider actually playing this guy for 2 also. If I need to get another character to boost their stats, but very good tail, absolutely.
If you're able to get him out with a timely aid, so you can get him out for like the 1 resource from a timely aid, and then playing a very good tail.
I'm gonna tell you that I would be grumpy if I played this guy out with a timely aid. If this guy, if I was playing timely aid and this guy came out, I'd be grumpy. Sorry.
If you had a very good tail in your hand and you knew that this 5-cost ally you could play this 5-cost ally, that gives you access to 90% of the allies in your deck that you can play with.
Sure, I get that, but I'm saying if it's just timely aid and I play out timely aid and I get Citadel Custodian, I'm grumpy. I'm grumpy for 2 reasons, because I'm wondering why I put this guy in my deck, and then secondly, and I have to waste my timely aid on a card that doesn't do anything other than as a pincushion.
Fair points. Fair point. There is another use that I'll point out. He is 5 cost, so a certain wizard spell might take advantage of that.
Oh,
right?
jeez. So
Flame of Arnor. Okay, I'm just saying.
If your benefit for this guy is that he has a high cost and you can use it to pitch to Gandalf to increase Gandalf's attack strength, is the thing to do. So you timely aid him into play. You timely aid the Custodian into play, and then you sneak attack Brock into play, and then you use 11 resources for very good tail, and you pull out 2 Knights of the Swan. Great. Wonderful. Like, what is going on? No.
It's called playing the game, Dave. It's called playing the game and having fun.
It's having fun. I mean, I've defended a lot of crazy cards, but
Citadel Custodian apparently is not one of them.
Is not one of them that I'm going to die on a ship. Actually, it got to the point where I was, I think Cardboard of the Rings was doing like a review of the top 3, bottom 3 in the Heirs of Numenor box, and I was like, and of course, Citadel Custodian's not the worst card in Heirs of Numenor box, but I was like, it's got to be not very good. And
it's definitely an honorable mention.
Yeah, like, I don't know, but that's how I feel. I mean, some people may use, if it's free, this card is good. If it's 1 cost, I think this card is fine. But you're not going to get 1 cost there. I mean, I guess you could
easily, because even if he isn't in my opening hand, and I got 2 other allies in play, I'm going to be drawing into a third ally. It's probably an ally heavy deck, or someone else is going to have a Gondor ally in play. Like I can very easily get him down to paying 1 resource for him, which I'm happy to do.
What else are you happy to do? Like, well, I mean, what?
That's it. It's just it, and then I'm gonna boost this. I'm gonna pay 1, and I'm gonna have a 3 hit point, 1 willpower ally. Then I'm gonna boost his willpower to 2, and I'm gonna be happy with that. That he's questing for 2, and I paid a resource.
Is he getting like Squire's Helm? Is he getting some sort of defense? Is he doing?
Nope. Just as he is, he's just gonna be a character at 2 willpower. And if I need to block, if I'm like, I might get this enemy, I will save him because there is a chance he might survive a 3 strength attack if the shadow card doesn't boost it. He can also take some archery soak, take 2 points, and be fine. And that's just kind of the purpose that he serves. He does fit only in kind of that specific box, but hey, he's dedicated. He's gonna guard the Citadel very custodially.
Very Gondorianly.
Okay, well, I've got nothing else to say about him.
Grant's like, this is going to be the shortest episode in history, everybody. This is going to be our... I don't know. Is there any way to make this... Like, there's nothing you can do to this guy. There's nothing you want to do to this guy, right? Like, he's just a chode in your deck, right?
Yeah, well, the Gondor archetype is about play. The thing is, you're playing probably the other. If you're playing a Gondor archetype that plays a lot of the other like 2-cost Gondor allies, such as Guard of the Citadel, or the Peligreer
Shipwright.
Captain. I want to say Shipwright, but it's not the Shipwright.
Yeah, ship captain.
I think it's like the Peligreer Captain,
right?
And
the enters play, move, resource.
Yeah, so you're probably playing all those other characters anyway, and this is just another ally to get into play for free to boost his stats. That's just kind of what leadership does, and this ally is just a free version of those allies.
I think the point that you made earlier on needs to be reiterated here is that there are Gondor allies that you play that you don't think as being Gondor. The Warden of Healing, ally Faramir, you should think of as being Gondor, but I don't know. But, what's that?
The Envoy.
Envoy of Peligreer, the Squire, when you chump the boy, like all those things that you do. Like, there's a lot of Gondor allies that you play because they're not necessarily Gondor. That are just good chump blockers and just, so I think that is something to just keep in mind as you consider playing this card. But that's about the best I can say about this guy.
Yeah, again, he's only going to fit in this very specific kind of deck that I built for a 3 or actually a 4-player game. I think is more ideal. And I'm like, he's just going to be like, if I want to pay 2 resources to play this Guard of the Citadel or something like that, or the Ship Captain, I might as well, to get 1 willpower, I might as well just pay 1 resource or no resources and have an extra hit point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it makes a little bit of sense. If you're the 4th player, everybody else could play 1 Gondor ally ahead of you, and you could play 1, and then you could effectively bring this guy out for 1 cost in the first turn, I guess, if you needed to, if everybody was playing Gondor allies.
Yeah, and in that, that's a great point. And in that archetype too, you're also playing, if you're playing leadership and you're trying to reduce the cost of allies, Man the Walls is a card that I'm also playing for the table. So I'll be reducing the cost of people to play allies. So someone might be able to play a Warden of Healing turn 1 for 1 lore resource, and that just makes the Guard of the Citadel cheaper.
Right. The Guard of the
you're right.
Citadel,
There's
the Citadel Custodian.
Citadel Custodian, yeah. But yeah, you named we named a few. Defender of Ramis too is another Gondor ally that a lot of tactics decks will play.
Mm-hmm. Honor Guard.
Honor Guard, right? We'll see him. Aorith, also Gondor traded. Moblung, ally. He's 2 willpower and lower, and a lot of decks run 1 or 2 of him just for his stats, and he's got a decent ability.
Yeah.
So you'd be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So. Okay, well, I guess we should ring this guy. We were probably supposed to ring this guy about 5 minutes ago, but it just never seemed to work out that way, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, well, for anybody who doesn't know or has forgotten how this works, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we rank a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 ring is the 1 card to rule them all, and 10 rings is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it came, because it was so horrible. So, Grant, what do you think? What's your ring for the Citadel Custodian?
Well, I'm definitely walking him to Mordor, but he's not quite in the fires yet. He's sitting at the 9 rings.
9 rings. Teddy, you ready?
Yeah, I will put him, lower than most other cards. Because he is so specific to that archetype, and even in that archetype of playing small swarmy allies, he doesn't necessarily always fit as the card pool has grown. So I'm gonna give him I'll probably give him a 7.
7. Wow.
But I think he has his place like all cards in the game. And I'm not going to sneeze at okay, play him for free. And it's not that much work to get him to be free, I feel like. Yeah. Like you just play the cards in your deck.
Right. Well, I will look at this, and this is no indictment on any of our Citadel Custodian patrons. That's for sure. But I think that this card is just. There's only one other leadership card that I like less than this card.
Brock Iron Fist.
I know, but even the disdain for Brock is like, this is, for me, this is quiet disdain. Like nobody. Apparently, there's people that use this card, and I'm not a fan. It's just, I feel like there's other leadership cards that you can use and can do things more immediately and are less nichey and play at more consistently whenever you need them. So I just feel like this card is so nichey that it just, like, it's really pushed itself out of a place in a deck that I'm going to build. So I'm actually going to give this guy 10 rings. I'm never going to use this guy in a deck. And so hopefully we can maybe we'll change my mind, maybe we won't. But
he's in a deck. Next game, we'll load it up. See if he hits the table. See how much I pay for him.
Yeah. We'll see. It has to be in a deck that I play, though. So, anyways. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and join us again as we talk about more cards in the game. Have a great day.
And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube, where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed, cardtalk2018.libsyn.org, for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself, or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.